And President Zelensky says more than 10 million Ukrainians are living without electricity after a barrage of Russian missile strikes on critical infrastructure. He says the worst may be yet to come as energy companies have run out of spare parts to repair the damage. Foreign correspondent Tom Sufi-Burridge joins me live now from Lviv, Ukraine, for more on that. Tom, how are Ukrainians coping with this massive power outage?
Well, Diane, you can see how the snow's falling here. The weather has really turned. Winter has arrived. And just at that moment, Ukraine's grid is struggling. The Prime Minister of Ukraine today saying that the grid is at 50% of its capacity. So you imagine, as you go into winter, only having half of the power that you would normally have. It's a critical situation. Look at this photo. Inside a Kiev hospital, surgeons working in the dark. And that picture, that scene is being repeated in cities like Lviv, where I'm also speaking to you from. We've also spoken to doctors here. That is the reality right now in Ukraine. And think about the most vulnerable people in society, the elderly. They are now potentially without power for large parts of the day. We're being warned that people will have to put up with power outages now for days, not hours, as has been the case up to now.
And Tom, the deputy foreign minister in Russia says that Russia is open to high-level talks with the U.S., but the Kremlin dismissed the idea of a summit between President Biden and President Putin. So what does that mean for potential peace talks in this war?
Well, look, Diane, the way that Russia has wanted to kind of paint this is that when peace talks happen, it will be talks between the United States and Russia. And that is just not the reality. That's certainly not the position of the Biden administration. They have said on numerous occasions that it will only be discussions on Ukraine by Ukraine, Ukraine being in the room. But Russia wants it to be kind of painted as some kind of war between the West and Russia. The reality is, the US is backing Ukraine, putting weapons into Ukraine because Ukraine is fighting for its freedom to be an independent democracy, independent from Russia. And therefore, there's no chance really that Western powers would create that dynamic where it would be a discussion purely between Russia and the US. That said, the US does have leverage over Ukraine, of course, and we have heard hints from the Biden administration recently, at least talking up the possibility of talks and putting pressure on the Ukrainians to at least leave the door open for that.
Meanwhile, Tom, Polish officials have now granted Ukrainian investigators access to the site of the missile blast that happened on Polish soil. What's the latest there?
Well, look, the Ukrainians are now part of that investigation. That was a demand by President Zelensky on Wednesday night. Also on Wednesday night, we had this bizarre language, well, a sort of contradictory claim going up against his allies. Ukrainian president was saying this wasn't a Ukrainian missile that tried to shoot down a Russian missile and went astray and landed in Poland, sadly killing 2 people. That is the theory which US officials, Polish officials, NATO officials have said is highly likely now. And we understand there's a lot of data which officials have had access to for some time. What's interesting, I think, is that that language from President Zelensky and all Ukrainian officials has not been repeated. So we have not heard that claim since Wednesday night. It's simply gone away. Diane?
All right, Tom Sufi-Burridge, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.